Hey guys, it's Quinn. Today we're going to be looking at what I think are two of the most underappreciated films in the entire series. You Only Live Twice and The Living Daylights. We start as we always do with the gun barrels, and I'm giving it to The Living Daylights solely because I think the music that is used is very cool. I just want to point out right now that the point total that is given at the end is from each of the criteria that is given. So an example is The Living Daylights just got a point because they have a better gun barrel than You Only Live Twice. I then double the points to the winner. Sorry, just clearing that up for some confused viewers. Next is the pre-title sequence, which goes to Living Daylights. I like how in that scene so much is introduced, including different characters such as Bond in the form of Timothy Dalton, and different ideas that we see later in the movie, such as Death to Spies card that we see as one of the agents dies. Next is the theme song and title sequence. I do like the theme for both of these movies, but I'm giving the slight edge to Living Daylights solely because it is more catchy in my opinion. The title sequence itself definitely goes to Only Live Twice though. I think the titles for The Living Daylights are the worst in the series, but that shouldn't take away from You Only Live Twice. It is very cool and very well done. Next is the Q branch, which goes to The Living Daylights. It is probably the best one in the series and shows a lot of cool and funny gadgets. Don't get me wrong, I like the one from You Only Live Twice, but I just think that the one from Living Daylights is better. The next is the Bond girl. Although I do think both are pretty average at best, and even then that's kind of generous, I have to give it to someone. You Only Live Twice wins it by a smudge solely because I hate the girl from Living Daylights. Not only is she annoying, but she's stupid as well. The next is the henchman, which goes to Living Daylights. Although Nikros is basically the same character as Hans from You Only Live Twice, I feel Nikros does a little more and has a little bit more bearing on the plot. That's why I'm giving it to Living Daylights.
James Bond, allow me to introduce myself. I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
The main villain obviously goes to Only Live Twice and Blofeld, and I've talked about him very recently, so let's just move on from that. The villain's plot, though, is not as obvious a choice as you may think. I chose The Living Daylights because although the villain plot of stealing spaceships is fun, I really like the embezzlement plot that they do in The Living Daylights, and that is why they get the point. I think it's a really innovative idea, and I just think overall it's a cool Bond plot. The next is the stunt, which goes to Living Daylights. It is amazing that they actually did this instead of green screening it. It is more of a feat of filmography than anything else. While we are on this topic, I want to talk about the henchman fight as well. Bond and Nikros seem like they would be about equal in the fight, so I love how they throw in this element of flight, kind of like how they did in Octopussy. Next is the vehicle chase, which I believe is a tie. Although Little Nelly in You Only Live Twice was a cool gadget and set up a really cool fight, it wasn't a great chase itself. I do like it, and it does deserve some credit though, and I feel like I'm being a little generous as to put it in the same ballpark as the car chase from The Living Daylights, but it's still very cool, so I think it deserves it. The Bond villain fight goes to Living Daylights. Now I know Bond fight with Whitaker was okay at best, but Bond didn't even fight Blofeld really at all, and that is why I'm giving it to Living Daylights. Next is the male ally. Felix in The Living Daylights is god-awful, and Tigger, and I know I pronounced it wrong, is pretty funny. So this one is obviously going to go to You Only Live Twice. The next is the score, which hands down goes to Living Daylights. That movie has probably the best John Barry score in the entire series, and that includes the likes of Goldfinger and A View to a Kill. It matches the film perfectly and is just overall very cool and fun music. Don't get me wrong, You Only Live Twice is great as well. It's just Living Daylights is in a whole different league, and I'm sorry for the baseball metaphors. I also want to quickly mention the M performance. He is pretty good in both of these films, but nothing major stands out for me, so I'll call it a tie. Next is the random Bond fight. That definitely goes to Living Daylights. Yes, you can make an argument that in some way all of the action is necessary, but let's be honest, it isn't. But Dalton fans, don't fret. The Living Daylights got the point. Next is the Bond performance. Connery just seemed bored and pissed off throughout You Only Live Twice, and I would say his performance is almost as bad as Lazenby's in a film later. Dalton was great in his film and really made his mark right off the bat. Again, sorry for the baseball metaphors. I feel like now is a good time to bring up how well they date. You Only Live Twice is fun, but is really stupid at parts. I think of it as the Moonraker of the 60s. The Living Daylights is very serious, and in my opinion is the On Her Majesty's Secret Service of the 80s, if you can put it that way. For that reason, it goes to Living Daylights. I would say both roughly tie in overall action, and both the end credit scenes are okay, so both are a tie. The final score is You Only Live Twice 9, and The Living Daylights 32, because you double the winner's points total, and they had 16. Leave a comment below on your opinion on these two films. Was there any categories I got wrong? Was I flat out too harsh on You Only Live Twice? Leave a comment below. I truly do want to hear your guys' opinions, and I read all the comments. Next time, my Goldfinger review. Those are very hard to make, so I may need more than just a week to make them. As always, subscribe, and I really want to get to 200 subscribers because the subscriber special is a video I've been wanting to make for some time now. Here are my two favorite scenes from You Only Live Twice. Okay, enough talking. I'll see you guys next time.
Bon appetit.